of weeks, we are registering the local cases about one or two, even zero cases for weeks, for a few weeks, for positive cases. And also at the same time, Singapore is trying to open up the economy. You know, a little island like Singapore, we depend on transactional, transportational people crossing around the world for the existence of Singapore. That's how Singapore exists from the very first day. It's about it's an entrepot. You need imports and exports, and you know the pandemic really hit hard Singapore because we really had to really lock down the borders for a while, 2020, because you know the world was shut down. Nobody's coming in anyway. Even if you open the borders, no one is coming in. Can you imagine the airline, the billions of losses, the ports, the workers and the ship waiting to come in? A lot of stress that goes with the ministers and the people who are actually trying to find ways to support, because you know Singapore doesn't have any resources, Dr. Mobi. You know, we don't have water. We buy our water from Malaysia. We've
Yeah.
got no agriculture. We've got no land. There's no land for agriculture. We import our food. We depend our food from Malaysia, Philippines, India, Middle East, Pakistan, Egypt, China, Indonesia. You know, the food is coming. And you know, when the pandemic locked down all these countries, the government has to go to these countries virtually to ask them to import, to continue all this importation of food into the country. Can you imagine how precarious a country is? But these are all being fought in the background. And people like us, of course, as citizens, we do not see it. But can you imagine a country that has no food? And we depend on transactional importation to survive, and we're talking about food that comes in from different countries. Therefore, food security is actually the number one security we're talking about. Now, water security, food security. We don't have oil. We import our oil from Indonesia, a little bit from Malaysia. But you know, if they shut down their oil, they shut down their water, and they shut down their food, this is a country that just dies a natural death. So you know, the pandemic, I think, has taught us a lot of things. It's really hard to be self-sufficient. It's going to be a world that's going to be much more globalized post-pandemic. So therefore, today I would like Dr. Mobi to talk about this topic for the next 20 minutes or so, about your vision of the post-pandemic world, the world reimagined. Dr. Mobi, once again, it's such a privilege to have you, such an honor to have you again. And listeners and the viewers, welcome Dr. Mobi to the show.
Thank you, Vicky, always, and it's been always pleasure to be with you and kind of come up with ideas for post-pandemic, as well as basically it is, let's kind of recap what is COVID has done to us. So if we look at, we had status quo. We were waking up, we were doing things, but we never appreciated in the past what it means, this daily living, and what it means, these emotions, this hard time. They say you don't realize till that thing is gone from you, or that experience is no longer. And like you said, Singapore imports water, Singapore imports this food, but nobody ever looked deeply into that value of everything till COVID hit. And then we all felt that, there were so many blessings left and right of us, and we never ever appreciated that. So that is what happens, and that is what we call life. Life is where, life keeps on going, but we never appreciate that part of the life, till we have a difficult situation. And with this difficult situation, and in the past, if we look at, people had Black Plague, and we had world wars, we had also, Holocaust, and we had a lot of disaster to humankind. If we look at, the humankind or human spirit, it overcame all of those and it basically overrode everything and survival. Somehow we learn to survive, and
To survive.
we are, and somehow we find a way back to life. And
Way
this
back to
is
life.
this gonna be story with same pandemic too. Yes, it is tough and it is very sad. My parents also got COVID. It was a test of nerves, faith, and also for looking for this hope. There was a glimmer of hope, which we had like somewhere lit far, far from us. And then we could see that candle flickering, and then we could guide ourselves to that. And same thing happened to me. And, there were times, of course, we thought we never will see the other day, but we did. We had faith. We had, basically believing there is somebody higher above us, and we also put so much passion into our work. So first liner myself and lot others, all of you made it happen. And yes, people ask, did this bring best of us? Actually, best always remained in us. We always have those qualities. Did it shine it? Yes, it did shine it, but it always lives within us. You have, and everybody has, that love for each other was always there. But somehow with this daily status quo, we thought that is not relevant anymore. But now we realize that actually giving that love to our neighbors, to our family, or spending time with our loved ones was the most important thing. And we were blessed in many ways, in many, many ways. Imagine every morning we wake up and our heart pumps so much blood. Do we say thank you? And do we have to worry or go somewhere and say, that part is not done, or your kidneys are filtrating so much blood, purifying so much blood every hour? And do we have to worry about that? No. Okay, it is already taken care. So when those things are already taken care, there will be things like you said, food. So imagine if we think we get so much stress that what will happen to Singapore or any country or any person, whether I'll get food tomorrow, whether I'll be able to, if I think a lot on that, I get stressed. I get too, you know and I say, oh my, there are so many things which can go wrong, which can be really devastating for us. But, in the end, we have a faith and we know there's a higher power than us. And whichever religion you believe in, then it matters that somebody higher than us. You call it Allah, you call it God, you call whatever name you have, but believe in it, believe in yourself, believe in the positivity, believe in that love, believe in humanity, believe in. So look at covid. COVID did not distinguish that it is a Muslim, it is Christian, it is Jewish or any other. It was killing everyone, all of us. Look how many people we have lost. 11 million, right, all over the world, um, got infected. In US, 500 has crossed the deaths. And this is sad. Whenever we will look back, do we want to remember those figures, or do we want to remember that it was a triumph of humanity with love, with hope, and with actually care for each other? So I think we want to rather err on that side. It has taught us a lot of things. It has taught us that in the end, what matters the most is your family, your health, and also your spreading of great message, irrespective whatever you believe in, whether you're black, white, Christian, Buddhist, doesn't matter. Patient who is lying with COVID, it does not care which religion you belong to, who you call to. Do you believe in helping each other? That's what matters. That's what matters. It does not, a sad thing was this could have been prevented in much on the scale level. We could have done differently, but hindsight is always perfect. So I would not go into more of that. But it is still, we can help each other. We can continue to, and other thing is also important is don't forget people who are less fortunate, and those people who are not going to get, they're not as rich as US is, or not rich as any other country. They might not get vaccines, but I think everybody needs to be vaccinated if we want to get rid of this pandemic. We cannot get rid of pandemic if we don't help everyone. This world is a different place and was always a one place. It's a one world for everyone. Yes, there are less fortunate than other people, but in the end, if we don't help each other and if we don't care about them, this is not going to go away. It's going to hide somewhere, which in these other parts of the world, and it's going to come back. Okay. So bottom line is, message is, we have to help each other. People who are less fortunate, we have to give them vaccines. We have to take care of them. Yes, you can certainly agree and disagree on the way we help, but remember, in the end, if we still change, if we don't correct ourselves, if we don't improve ourselves, I don't see that pandemic going away completely. So, and then this will be again a prolonging the pandemic, prolonging of our misery. So, help, everybody should pitch in, everybody should help, wear your mask still. Those days will come, those days not far, and that we'll be all hugging each other, we'll be touching, we will be eating together, we'll be having fun. But before that, you know, do not lose hope. Keep working on what you are doing and keep believing and spreading the love. Uh, you're
Dr. Mobi, I thought, what you said is so true. I mean, you coming from a doctor, and you're relating about a patient. I mean, a doctor and a patient relationship, there is no difference involved. There's no recognition of what faith, what language, what color, and which country you're from. I mean, and the virus doesn't recognize that at all. It doesn't really care. And if this pandemic teaches us something, it sets us back to move us forward. The post-pandemic world, in various different aspects, the humanitarian aspects that you have said, if love has emerged out of this, the suffering of the people, the struggles of the people, and so many people, out of, in the US, over 500,000 people have passed on, and these numbers are probably underreported. People who are triggered from COVID-19 also, like in Singapore, it is not registered as a COVID-19 case. So I'm talking about families who are hit hard. And we're talking about, in the world right now, 11 million that have passed on. We're talking about 11 million families who have been hit hard, plus unknown, undetected, and unreported cases. This is such a huge thing in the world, and if we have not tried to understand and evolve from it, like what Dr. Mobi says, the relationship between a doctor and a patient, if we can bring this out into the world, that people can replicate up between human beings, I think the world is going to be a much different place, Dr. Mobi.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. For us, sad thing is that we still seeing some of the now I see definitely people are more serious and taking COVID seriously, which is great. I think they can still do a better job of avoiding things, which they don't have to, and taking, part in mostly wearing mask and distant activities and loving each other in either, at least making phone calls and feeding needy one, poor one, and making sure, everybody gets some food, and those are such important things. Can we still part of it, and we can still help each other. For me, anybody who is sick with COVID, when we see them, when we feel their pain, that they are just struggling to breathe, they are struggling to looking for their breath, and this is it can be really eye-opening for the family, that they always neglected that health. They always neglected that care for each other. They would do for everything else but for themselves. So this is where it is important. And in the end, it doesn't matter you're black, white, or whatever religion you believe in, humanity prevails, love for each other prevails. And that's what this virus has taught us. I think with time, those values tend to kind of lessen, and we forget what is the most important part, what we call life. What life is. Life is nothing but love, and relationship for each other has to be stronger. And that's what life should be. And that's what the life real meaning. It is not about one religion. It's not about one race. It's not about
So
anything
much
else.
bigger than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Mobi, just to take another a few minutes from you, in the post-pandemic world, is there any discussion in the medical sector right now where you are? When will the vaccination um, uh, be will return to some form of normalcy for the world? At which point of the vaccination of the world, at what percentage and what point in time, how many months will take before the world sees some form of normalcy, like opening of the borders, opening up of the places. So many countries right now, the borders are still closed. Like in Europe, the borders are closed.
Yeah, and that is a good question. So this could have been achieved way faster. I think the vaccines are rolled out right now in Israel and US. In US, we are already seeing a decline in hospitalization. So we have hit 50,000, I guess, vaccines, or 50 million, sorry, 50 million vaccines already. And then the hospitalization is showing a decline. This is really great. I think once we hit 140 million or 100, probably will be back to normal. Um, uh, my guess is even 100, 100 million. So you will see there is a big change. There's a
I
big
see.
change.
Yeah.
So I think overall they say at least 70% has to be immunized, to achieve
70.
that goal.
Herd
Uh,
immunity.
per herd immunity. So same stands for, like Israel already doing a great with their vaccination. I think they have achieved the best so far, and they are already normalizing back to. When do we see that? If right now rest of the world is not being immunized as we speak, except US and China probably, right? I don't know what is the situation in Singapore. So till you hit 50% of the population, that discussion is not very valid. My guess is 70% ideal. But then the things will. If we go this speed, probably it'll be end of this year. But here for US for sure. I don't know about rest.
Yeah. Is there any final thoughts or final words that you would like to share with us from the medical professional discussion about the world? How should the world, I should say, after the vaccination, how should the world behave um, post-pandemic?
Okay. Yeah, and that is a very important question. The lessons learned from pandemic is going to be lifelong. I am afraid people, down the road, a few years, will kind of forget about this pain, and then they will probably again go back to their normal, what they used to do, and that would unfortunately be sad. Okay, first of all, for the medical, I would say, salute to everyone who is seeing patient and helping, and also first responders who are running ambulances, nurses who are working day and night, and to make sure, and people who are even cleaning the beds and the hospitals, and working day and night, and making sure that everybody is treated.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
who are trying to put food for us,
yeah,
who
yeah,
are working tirelessly. Salute to everyone. This has really brought best out of us. We are shining. We are really trying to help each other. We're trying to put food and medicine for everyone. That's a human spirit. Best of its
yeah,
is actually shown already to everyone. Now the question is, what will happen post pandemic, and what message we need to carry?
yeah.
What message is always very simple: love for each other, care for your health. It is very, very important. This pandemic actually proved that again, that some of the biggest risk factors for complication are weight as well as your medical issues. So if you have high blood pressure, and you had a lot of immune problems, and obesity is unfortunately one of them, which would actually cause a lot of problems. So it seems, by the way, stand for medical profession. This has again highlighted a lot of doctors as well as medical professionals lost their life. And first, we want to also pray for those departed souls. Every family loss is our loss, and we feel that pain. We feel in our heart, and we pray that you are at a better place. So, and rest in peace. We definitely pray for that, and for all of you, and words cannot describe the pain we went through. There is no pain worse than this one. And who imagined 2 years ago that we had to go as a world, this kind of problem? But also important lessons learned from this is, like I said, we have to take care of our own health. We have to take care of our families. We have to think about and be thankful. Gratitude is very important. That this life, enjoy
Yeah,
this
that's
life.
life.
Do not try to waste the time in arguments. Do not try to waste time in things which do not matter. What matters most is love for each other, and take care of your family, and spread the love for everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mobi. I'd like to thank you for this curtains